All right, welcome back to another episode of the Tim and Tim Show every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Back with my favorite co-host to talk about the inner workings of day-to-day commercial multifamily operations and real estate ownership, as well as owning property management company and dealing with our day-to-day operations and asset management and everything else that falls under the sun. So we keep it real on this show. We talk about real things we're experiencing. We talk about life lessons that we've learned, mistakes that we've made. Honestly, we don't hold anything back here. We just speak the truth, and I think that's why a lot of people enjoy the show so much because we just say it how it is. So this week, Tim came up with a really great show topic, and we're going to be talking about how real estate isn't really just about the buildings, owning the buildings and owning the physical asset. Like, yes, like that is to some people that could be a monumental task. At one point, it was for myself. I'm sure it was for Tim Best when we got into our first apartment complex deal. But once you get over that hump and you get onto the other side of the fence, you really start to learn that the real estate business isn't really about buying and selling real estate. It is 100% the people, the systems, and the processes behind what makes your buildings tick.
Yeah.
So Tim, take it away. How you doing today, first of all, and where do you want to go with this? Where do you want to start?
First of all, I'm doing great. Can't complain. Actually, I think right before the call, I was complaining, so I'll be honest with guys.
I'll listen to you.
Tim actually listens to me. Most folks are like, I don't give a shit. So, and Tim might not either, but he at least acts like he's listening.
I humor you, I guess you could say.
So, but anyway, guys, like I don't know, I just kind of had this idea. A number of things have gone on lately, and somebody, I think this kind of came up, right? I was standing in my driveway about a week ago, and somebody asked me how it was going. I was like, it's going, it's what it is, that kind of stuff. And they were like, you don't like doing real estate? I'm like, no, I love doing real estate. I love buying properties.
Dude, my gosh, God, as soon as somebody hits something in my inbox about a new opportunity, I'm chomping at the bit to structure a deal and underwrite it and do all of the things because that's the is it the right word? That's the anomaly. I'm terrible with words. I'm more of a numbers type of guy, but it's not the normal course of action that I get on my day-to-day plate of underwriting deals and trying to structure deals and negotiate deals. I mean, that's the exciting part nowadays.
Yeah, man. I love doing real estate. I love finding properties, walking properties. Hell, I even like the renovation part of it, right up, except for the part where you try to get teams to show up and do the damn work,
Oh,
which actually is funny because that kind of leads me where this goes, right? Like, and the guy that's talking to me on my driveway, he's like, well, what is it? And I'm like, man, I gotta be honest, it's the people side of the business that's tough.
morning,
That's
Dennis.
really, really tough.
Yeah,
So,
so hard. I mean, trying to be a leader, trying to inspire, trying to hold people accountable, trying to meet everyone's needs, not only your employees, but also your residents and
yeah,
your subcontractors. There's a lot of people rely on us in different facets, right? And thankfully, we share that load. I mean, because I don't know how one person handles that load entirely on their own. I think that is a feat upon itself. But I do believe that there is so much mental stress of other people's problems. As my father-in-law says, if he watches this show, OPP, other people's problems that fall on our
that's
desks,
what that
and we
stands for.
OPP. That's right, other people's problems. Yeah, there's so much there, right? And I tell my wife this all the time. I mean, raising a newborn and a kid and all that's hard on its own. That's hard, but also trying to build a business and lead a group of people and do all of the things that we're doing at the same time is also really hard. And I tell her all the time, building a business has been the hardest thing,
Yeah,
hands down. Like getting into real estate was tough, right? But it was achievable, and there was like kind of like a light at the end of the tunnel of like kind of learning this new skill, learning this new ability, being able to say that I can do it and do it repeatedly. But once you get into building a business with teams and structures, it's never ending. It doesn't ever feel like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. There's always a new system, a new process, a new problem. Like somebody's got something going on in their personal life that is something that we've never come across before. And thank God for HR, because my goodness, there's so many things I'm just like, I don't know, ask HR. I don't even know what to do in this situation anymore. Just HR, just tell me what to do here. And I'll have to say, one of the things that, obviously comes with people is I never had a bigger appreciation for HR until I built my own business, right? I mean, in my corporate life, God, HR could just fall off a cliff and nobody would care. But as a business owner, HR is probably one of the most important roles.
Yeah. Yeah. No, no, no. I mean, as an aside, yeah, so guys, like full disclosure, my wife had a long career in HR, and there was a while there I thought that HR was just like that group that's off doing benefits, and that you got sent to. They were like the corporate version of the principal's office, right? Like,
yeah,
that's what I always thought they were. And then like I'm sitting hearing my wife doing her job, and I'm like, holy shit! Like you're in meetings deciding like if acquisitions go through or not, based on like culture and structure. Like, oh, that's different than I thought HR was.
Mm-hmm.
But in the same thing, like I have a totally different appreciation for it, especially as a business owner, right? Because man, one of the things that can take a deal down real fast is people, especially when it plays into the operation side of things. One of the things that I've always debated with folks, and I think people get tired of me doing it because I'm a little bit of a, I don't know, I guess I'm a little bit too much of a Gen Xer. Sometimes I kind of say what's on my mind sometimes, even when I shouldn't. And what, one of the things I've heard so many times is like, you make your money on the buy. You make your money on the buy. And I'm like, maybe, but you sure as hell could lose every damn bit of it in the operations.
As a flipper, you make it when you buy, right? If you hold something very short term, absolutely you got to focus on the buy. If you're holding something long term, you absolutely have to focus on the cash flow and the operations.
Yeah, but hey, here's one thing I'll argue with you. Even as a flipper, like you go in, let's say you hold it for 30 days, but during that 30 days, you go in and I don't know, you do granite in a market that doesn't want granite, right? Like you over renovate or you under renovate or you do something, right? It could crush you. Let's not get into a whole conversation about flip or flop and those two knuckleheads.
Sure.
Our budget was 100 and we did 200 and we made $1 million.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm an underwater basket weaver and I'm a school teacher and our budget is $3.5 million.
I love those, right? What was that? Those are the house hunters.
House hunter.
Yeah. I used to love those. But man, like on the operation side of things, like, people can cause a lot of problems, especially when you start to scale. Tim sent me a thread this morning. I saw it. I thought it was pretty cool. It's like why people stay small, right? People get into real estate and after like they buy 10 and they're like, holy shit, this is hard.
Yeah.
And then, but owning 10 properties is hard. I would say scaling and getting good people in place to do operations the way they need to be done is exponentially harder.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, because it's a lot of time commitment and effort to run 10 properties on your own.
Yeah.
It's an entirely different hard to run 10,000 units.
Yeah.
Entirely different. And look, I'm not saying, Tim and I, we're saints here. I mean, something that we struggle with and continue to learn how to improve are our systems and processes.
Oh, yeah.
How we continue to roll things out to the team and take a step back and think about how is this going to holistically either improve or make more difficult to roll out to a group of people. What's the most important thing that we need to do first and how are we going to do it? Those are the conversations that Tim and I have on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis now of, okay, who's going to document this? Where's that document going to live? Who's going to write out the email? Who's going to check the email? Who's going to make sure and follow up that it's being done? Who's going to do a live session to make sure that all the questions are answered? And it's like every single time you change one little thing, you have to think about this whole month's worth of work to build and implement a system, roll it out, train people on it, and ensure it's being done correctly. I mean, it is Oh my God, is the hardest thing. In my opinion, that is like the hardest thing to do because I want to build something, I want to complete it, I want to check it off my list, and I want to move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't work, right? The team can't keep up at the speed that Tim and Tim want to go at, right? Because you got two people here that want to check things off the box and move on to the next thing, which is really difficult because it creates this enormous wake behind us of people that are trying to catch up to where we are, and it's an uphill battle the whole time. And it is really taking a lot of effort on our part to slow down and make sure that these things are being implemented correctly.
Yeah, for sure. Because one of the things that is really really difficult to understand, right, is like operating buildings. Really, at the end of the day, the actual operations of a building really isn't that difficult. It's not
Mhm.
rocket science, right? And
Nope.
I wrote it down somewhere. Hang on one second. Let me find it. I had a guy one time say to me, and I remembered this the other day, and I thought it was great. He said, "I've never had a building wake up in the morning and decide to make my life miserable." He was like, "Now," he's like, he goes, "Now people, on the other hand."
Ooh, people, yeah. You have no idea what they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, and how are they going to throw a wrench in your daily plans?
Yeah, and so his whole point was he's like, listen, yeah, we all want to be like, oh man, that property's such a pain in the ass. But he's like, maybe we look at like, what am I doing on this property that's making this property such a pain in the ass, right?
Hmm.
And I think there's a lot of truth to that, right?
Oh, totally. I mean, I can think about one example that has been on the top of my mind is we've had this one property that was very difficult to operate. We got a rock star property manager. She was there for almost 2 years, and it was consistently at 95 to 100% occupied and 100% collected.
Yep.
She's been gone for 60 days now. Occupancy's down to low 90% instead of upper 90%, and there's like 5% or 7% delinquency now. And it is pinpointing that the property manager or the person or the people in your team are the difference between a well operating machine and one that struggles. And every time we look at any property that's struggling, it always comes back to the person that's sitting there on a day-to-day
Yeah.
basis.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. And before anybody says it, because I'll just go ahead and say it right now, is somebody's going to come out and say, yeah, but if you had your process and your system and your operations nailed down, you could just plug and play. I don't agree
Not,
with that.
not
I don't
true.
agree with that
No,
at all.
because you have somebody quit, you try to go find a new employee. It takes 2 months to find a replacement. Then once they are onboarded, it takes them
Oh,
90, 120 days just to kind of get caught up on or up to speed on the property and the residents and the problems and the layout and the overall condition and all of that. I mean, now you're 6 months down the line and you're just starting to find a new stable, and then you have to bring it back up to where it was before. I mean, it is you lose an employee, it takes you 6 months to a year to recover. Easy.
I'm glad you said that, guys. We didn't plan this, but sometimes we just play off each other like this. But I'm glad you said that because I literally yesterday I was looking at something and it was talking about employee turnover, and
Mm,
a guy in the real estate world who owns a property management company had done the analysis, and his analysis came back to when he loses an employee, it costs him about $50,000 in cash flow on a property.
no shit.
Yeah, by the time because operations drop,
Mm-hmm.
collections drop,
Yep.
tenant happiness drops.
Yep.
No matter what he does, he's like, it's going to drop.
Yeah.
And then he's like, then it takes me 60, 90 days to train the person after I've hired them. And he's like, it takes me 30 days at least to hire them. He's like, so
Mm-hmm.
now I'm 4 months in. And then he's like, to get it back to where it needs to go, he's like, I'm probably, another 3 to 4 months after that. He's like, I've got almost a year,
Yeah.
right? A year of inefficient operations just because of employee
Yep.
turnover.
And then
Um,
the average lifespan is about 2 years.
right.
So then you're 1 year to recover. You get 1 year of good stabilization, and then you start the process all over again. And
Yeah.
it's funny, we were actually on a call with a greater group of property management owners, company
Mhm.
owners and directors, and they had said it felt like every 6 months they had a catastrophic property manager loss, right? And what that means is it was a stabilized property that was operating well. maintaining good occupancy, maintaining good collections. Every 6 months, they had some level of turnover at one of their 20 something properties, and it was the process all over again. And I was like, damn, it feels good to feel like we're not the only ones suffering with a problem like that. But obviously, the call that we were on was, how do we take away some of the responsibilities and shift the responsibilities away from having too many too many chips in a single bucket? And part of that is what we're going to be working on internally to try to make sure that when we do lose a property manager or community manager, there's a less of a dip in operations, because you're taking away some of the key functionalities to spread the risk amongst more people, right? So like, if you have a property manager leave, well, collections don't dip because you have somebody else handling collections, or, renewals don't stop because somebody else is responsible for doing the renewals. New leases and applications don't stop because somebody else is handling it. Work orders don't stop because somebody else is responsible to make sure that it's still being scheduled, right? I mean, that was another big one, right? It was like, that property manager left. Now the maintenance guy's like, I don't know what to do. I'm just going to show up to work until these guys tell me what to do, because the person that was telling me what to do is not here anymore, So it's going to be an interesting journey that's going to take all of the next 1 to 2 years to roll out and kind of change job descriptions. We're going to change processes, procedures, roles, responsibilities. Everything is going to change by this structural component change of our business ultimately. But you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, where in theory, on paper, this solves a lot of problems.
Yeah. And guys, one of the key words there is on paper, right? Or the phrases. And don't know till you try it. But we're seeing some proof in the pudding with some other guys, right?
Yep.
They're like, hey, this is working for us. It's not easy to get here. It's painful to get here, but it was worth it to get here, right? And
yep.
So it's like, and that's one of the things Tim and I talk about a lot, is like, I don't know if this is the right answer, but I know what we're doing now is not the answer, right?
Right. It's not working.
Right. So the worst thing you can do, what's the old, you like to say, stop digging, right? I'm like,
oh, yeah. The best way to get yourself out of a hole is to stop digging.
Yeah. And I always like, why would you sit here and continue to bang your head against the wall?
Yeah. What's that? The definition of insanity is to continue to do the same actions and expect a different result.
Yeah. I used to tell my technology teams, hey, listen, the worst thing you could do is nothing. So
inaction is definitely the worst action.
Yeah. Most of the time. Yeah, for sure. But hey, so, we're getting, the last 5, 6, 7 minutes of the show today. So, I think one of the biggest things for me is, like we're talking about, the buildings don't decide to do this, it's people, right? Because I think one of the things that I've always held true to is, like, ultimately at the end of the day, the apartment doesn't care, right? Doesn't care what interest rates are. It doesn't care who's operating it. It doesn't care. I don't know what else. If you're stressed out or angry or whatever, right? I mean, it's just doing its thing. So really, at the end of the day, how you operate it, how you manage it, I mean, that is ultimately the biggest piece, right? And I think that thread that you sent me today, basically the guy's point was, you got to treat it like a business, right? You got to treat it like a business. And I think that's what a lot of people miss, right? There's this idea of, hey, we've talked about before. I can go buy something, just throw it on third party, and cool, right?
See what happens.
Cash flow just comes on in, that kind of stuff. And it's like, I don't think so. I don't think that's how it works.
No, I mean, you hear more horror stories about third-party property managers than owner-operators.
Yeah.
Right? Because you have less control and less of an ability to pivot and try different things. When you use third-party managers, you have to ultimately fire that property manager and go out and try to find a new company that's going to be able to provide the level of service and efficiency that you are looking for. And everyone obviously wants the perfectly operating property, right, with the perfect property management company. But I will argue that there is no perfect company. There's no perfect property management company. Even owner operators like ourselves, we are not perfect. We are far from it, but we continue to strive to improve, right? And ultimately that's all in my opinion, that's all you can ask for, but you have to be able to read the tea leaves and say if something is not working and make a change, whether that's
Yeah.
internally for yourself in your own company or moving to a different third party manager.
Yeah, yeah, completely agree. And I think ultimately what it comes down to, man, is kind of like we tell investors all the time. Like you're not investing in the asset, you're investing in the operator, right?
Hmm.
And and I think that's true when it comes to running a business, doing what we do with the real estate world. It's like you're not investing necessarily in a building, you're investing in the team behind the building,
Hmm.
whether that's a third party team as an investor or internally as the team that you've put together to help run that asset, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
um
That's fair.
yeah. And I think for me that was over the last so many years. I think that's been one of the biggest aha moments for me, right? Is
Hmm.
where I dial into the numbers, I look at the market, and that stuff's all good and everything. But at the end of the day, man, it comes down to the operations and the people behind the operations.
Yeah, and same's true for me, right? I mean, the more that we continue to own and operate in different markets across the Carolinas and Mississippi and Alabama, the more and more I know which markets I want to continue to grow in.
Right.
Some markets are just have proven to be easier to operate in, right?
Right.
They have just proven that there's more demand, there's more, more replacement personnel if you need them, right? Some places are harder to hire people in. It's harder to market in. It's harder to fill units in. It's harder to work with the housing authorities. It's harder to work with the cities. You continue to narrow down your buy box, and it makes it a lot easier on the transactional side of the business, which is buying the hard asset, and really enables you to focus on continuing to grow the operational efficiency on the people side of the business,
Yeah.
right? Do you think that that's a fair statement, or is there some like what do you
No,
think
I,
about that?
I think that's fair. I think at the end of the day, the people are the biggest thing, right? Like, going back to your flipping comment earlier, let's think of one of the biggest flippers that we know, and he does it in the
Hmm.
multifamily space. He
Yeah,
operates all over the country,
yeah,
all over the country. There's no market that he won't go into if the numbers are right. And at the end of the day, if I'm sitting back looking at what I know about his business, it's his people,
hmm,
right? He has people around him that, for good, bad, or indifferent, understand his business plan and are on the same page as to what his business plan is. And
hmm.
if they stray from it, he doesn't pull any punches. I mean, he will walk in and be like, "This sucks. This is garbage. We aren't doing this." Right.
Yeah, right.
Um,
Yeah,
and
he's got some very faithful employees, I'll tell you that.
100%.
I
And,
mean, they work to the bone, and stretch themselves very thin to accomplish what they have. I mean, but they're all rowing in the same direction. That's for damn sure.
they're rowing in the same direction. And one thing I will say about this guy is when he gets an employee that's rowing in that direction and has proven that they're a team player, he'll take care of them.
Oh yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah,
So, but at the end of the day, man, like, it's the people, right?
it's always the people.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are some things that you've noticed other people have done in terms of like this individual we're talking about, right? How does he roll out systems and processes to ensure that his current and future employees are all doing the same thing?
Yeah, man. I will say, you I will say, I'm going to say this as nicely as I can, because he's a bit old school, right? He's a bit old school. It's hands on with him. And
Yeah.
he really doesn't have a lot of like technology or things like that in
Hmm.
place to get it done. It is old school, and give him credit. As successful as he's been, you will find him going to that property with
Yeah.
that person. If it's a new person, he goes to that
Fair.
property with that new person and he shows them how to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's fair. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's but at the end of the day, guys, that's just the old school way of what we're talking about, of like, put systems and processes in place, make sure they're documented and easily transferable.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
And
I mean, because he could never sell his business. There's no
no,
sellable business without him, you know?
his business is him.
Yeah.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that is another level of hard of being able to um, build systems and processes and allow the business to operate without you. One person, my brother, he recently moved to North Carolina and has been, kind of back and forth between North Carolina and Connecticut. But for the most part, he has been able to run his business and sees the light at the end of the tunnel of being able to let his business run on its own.
Yeah.
He's been doing like kind of like a time audit of what he's actually doing on a day-to-day basis. And he's finding out that he really doesn't do a whole lot, which is a good thing. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, why, what's the fear behind why am I here at all? If but there's always there's a little bit of a hands-on, right? There's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And I think as he continues to train his core team, that's when I think he'll be more comfortable in being able to just kind of go there once a month instead of, every week, or something like
Yeah.
that. So, good on him. I mean, that's no easy feat, to be able to build the systems and processes and make sure that the team knows what needs to be done by when, how is it done, and then having the quality control and all of that behind all of his automotive detailing stuff. So good on him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Easier said than done.
Glad to hear it. I think it is funny when you're like, you do a time audit and you're like, man, I really don't do that much.
Yeah, I know. I know. He texted me, he goes, I played Halo in the office for about 4.5 hours. I was like, oh, seems productive. I was like, did your employees see you doing that? And I was like, that's probably not the best thing.
Yeah, to each their own, but I kind of like I have thoughts on that.
Yeah. I have thoughts on that as well, but it's well, maybe time better spent somewhere else. So.
Yeah, it's like I knew a guy one time who was a manager, and it's like, man, you've been at that desk all day long, and he was like, you know what I've been doing? He's like, I just need my employees to see me here, but he's like, I've been messing around all day.
Yeah, right. I'm just here for appearances.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys. Well, that's all we got for today. Appreciate you joining. Appreciate Joe and Dennis putting some comments up on the screen. We agree people issues are tough, but relationships are ultimately what carries everything through, whether it's on the operational side or the transactional side. Relationships are everything. So treat your people right, and you try to support them in any way you can, and build those systems and processes so that the people feel supported and they have the direction and guidance that they need. So
Yep.
with that, we will see you next week.
See you
Peace.
guys.